We are live right now. So, everybody,
Awesome.
thank you so much to everybody tuning in, or whether you're listening into the recording. So, I am Karie Johnson with Life Network, and today we have one of our amazing experts, Annette Verpillot with Posturepro. Annette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Oh, we are so grateful to have you. So, I had the pleasure of interviewing Annette a few months back and just learned so much from her, just in her story. And posture. She works with like top elite athletes, but everyday people as well too. So I'm really excited to, not just dive into, just posture, but just the overall, just everything with the body, from the brain all the way down to the toes, and just how posture can affect that. Back pain, energy, jaw tension. Like she will help to connect the dots. So I'm excited. So if you are having any questions, drop them in the chat. We already have a lot of them coming in from the Life Network side. So are you ready for this, Annette?
I've never I've never been more ready.
I love it. Right. So
Ready.
for people, before we dive into some of the questions, for people who don't know you, your background, I know we have the full podcast and we'll make sure to link that below too, but just to give them a sneak peek where to find you, all of those things. So
Yes, the website posturepro.co. This is I go by the name of Posture Pro, and yeah, I'm a posture specialist. I like to address the root cause of the problem, and I don't like to waste time managing symptoms. And I think my life's mission is to um, share my knowledge and help as many people as possible through a brain-based approach.
mhm. I love that. And that's what I love learning from you before. It's not just just a quick little fix. It's more of like get down to the root cause and try to, really set you up for like longevity long term. So,
Correct, and that's what makes it really different is that we're using the body to target the nervous system in order to address any type of musculoskeletal disorder, but we've come to find that it also helps with a variety or a myriad of different other symptoms ranging from ankle pain to migraine and to everything in between from adults to children to the elderlies. So
yeah,
there's really no one that's immune to this. If you're human and you have a heart and a brain, then we can help.
exactly right. Yes. And that's why we're here today to kind of help answer some questions or bust some myths too, because I know there's probably just some misinformation too out there in terms of posture and things you can and can't do. So, with that being said, I want to get to our first one. Is bad posture actually a brain issue, not a back issue?
Yeah, it's actually a brain issue. There's different parts of your body that tell your brain how to stand and how to move. So when we're looking at the back, we have to consider the muscles that are attached to the spine, and those intrinsic muscles respond to the commands of the brain. But specifically, the intrinsic muscles of the spine respond to a part of the brain called the cerebellum, which happens to receive a lot of information from the muscles themselves, but also from proprioception, skin proprioception, muscle proprioception. So if we're standing with a body that's misaligned, the information that's going into the brain is asymmetrical, and that's going to project or tighten your muscles of the lower back asymmetrically, which eventually leads to lower back pain. So
Okay.
it's a symptom. It's a symptom of poor posture. So, and this is why often even when you go through surgery, you may feel better at first, but then later on you may have other issues that can arise on in the body or in different areas of the body.
Okay.
So, very often what we'll find with lower back pain is that the feet are implicated almost always, as
Mm,
are the eyes. And when we say the eyes, we're not referring to refraction disorders, we're referring
okay.
to the way that the muscles that move the actual eyeball in the socket, those muscles are connected with your vestibular system, which
Okay.
affects the way that you stand.
Incredible. Wow. Yeah. So it is way more than just posture issue. It goes like like we were talking about before, like head to toe, all the way from the eye too. That's yeah. Okay. So the next one that is coming in is, how does posture relate to anxiety or hormone balance?
Well, when you're when you're posturally misaligned, you're in a state of, if your brain and your nervous system feels unbalanced, it's going to cause stress internally.
Mhm.
You may not realize it immediately, but you may have this conscious anxiousness in your body that you're having a hard time, or you may have a hard time getting rid of. And it could stem from your eyes, and it could stem from the vestibular system. And the reason I
Right.
speak of the vestibular system is because whenever there is anxiety, the vestibular system, which is your sense of balance in your inner ear, is almost always implicated because it
Mm.
speaks to the different centers in your brain that help you cope with stress. So if there's an imbalance in your body, it's going to affect the way that you are standing and moving and walking,
Right.
the way that you're syncing with what you're seeing. The information from your eyes and your inner ear might not be in sync in the
Right.
nervous system, and that's going to create stress, which will affect the stress centers in the brain, which will release cortisol in small doses, and which can lead chronically to anxiety attacks or panic attacks, simply starting from a postural imbalance and going down the line to a full blown anxiety issue.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So then what do people do to get help? They're like, "Oh,
So,
I
so
need to."
yes, yeah, no, so this is where it gets, I mean, as long as we're dealing with healthy individuals or someone that has a nervous system, a heart, a brain, lungs, they walk with their feet, the process will almost always be the same because the source of the problem almost always is the same thing. There's an
Okay.
imbalance with the feet, there's an imbalance with the eyes, and then there's the other obstacles like the jaw,
Yeah.
scars, leg length discrepancy, other things that can add to the baseline, to the main problem. But
Mhm.
the idea is to be able to address those systems simultaneously,
Okay.
because we have these sensory receptors in our brain that are constantly sensing how we're standing in relation to gravity.
Right.
Therefore, if we're leaning more on one side, just very slightly, it doesn't have to be a huge limp, but just a very slight lower shoulder, rotated hip, forward hand posture. These subtle changes are actually picked up by the vestibular system and projects
Mhm.
onto your entire brain. So
Hmm.
the fix for it is to change your faulty motor patterns, is to change the way that you've been walking for the
That's
last
hard.
5 years, and change
Yeah.
those muscular habits in order to have an effect on the nervous system. The nervous system learns with repetition. So the more you walk with better posture, the more you
Right.
start to reprogram your faulty habits to
Okay.
change them into a more symmetrical stance.
Gotcha. Okay. How long does that typically take?
The
Depends on
speed
the
of the
person.
nervous system, it's quite fast actually. For it to set
Right.
in the fascia will take 6 weeks. 6 weeks so that it
Right.
becomes a habit in the nervous system and the muscular system. But to see the changes in session, in again, in healthy individuals and children, it's even faster.
Mhm.
Um, it could be almost immediate. The moment that you
Mm.
stimulate the nervous system, you can literally see somebody just, shift their posture back. And we see this a lot with elderlies and old people. They tend to be
Yeah.
really have this
Forward.
forward posture,
Mhm.
and simply by stimulating their feet or having them work their eyes, they literally activate their back muscles almost without any exercise or
Wow.
stretching at all. And you'll see their posture. We have a plumb line in the office where we can
Okay.
really see how far forward they are, and they'll just come right back.
Wow.
So think of, yeah, so we just have to think of the brain as this organ that in this situation that will inhibit flexion and activate extension so that we
Mhm.
can stand upright and fight gravity efficiently.
Right. Okay. So then does somebody have to come see you, or can they just purchase some of your products online in order to start seeing those effects?
Both. They can definitely. The reason we have those products online is to be able to help people do these exercises at home themselves, which they
Yeah.
can. They can start doing the exercises, and to accelerate the process, we offer products like
Right.
therapeutic insoles or functional activator to help with tongue posture,
Yes.
and we also offer courses. And for those that are struggling with getting the or really wanting to understand what is the cause of the is it the feet? Is it the eyes? Is it the jaw? Where are they really standing within that correction? pathway, then we can definitely do an online consultation so that we can cater more appropriate exercises based on your own nervous system.
Okay, that's super helpful because you're based in Canada, correct?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am, but
Yeah.
I'm just all over the place.
I know, you are all over the place, you work with, top elite athletes all over the world, so and then you've probably seen all sorts of cases. So
Yeah, yeah, and very young ones too, which is what
mm,
it concerns me because we see these imbalances with small children as early as 6 years old. We definitely see them with athletes. Athletes are the ones who will use their body repetitively and will be
right,
more prone to injury because they're training with a body that's misaligned.
yeah,
And that's I have to say that's the biggest misconception because you can't train yourself out of poor posture. If anything, you're just training yourself into injury,
right,
especially if you're training with a body that is already unbalanced. And I think that that's a really important point because we need to train. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. Training is important
mhm,
for a brain activation, for health, for longevity. But it comes to with a parallel of if we're training with a body that's misaligned, we are in fact increasing that cortisol, and it might be harder for us to recuperate or fall asleep into that
mm,
deep sleep so that we can recuperate and get
oh,
all of the benefits that we should from that training session.
mm, that's a very, very good point, yeah, because deep restorative rest, that's where you're able to, get back at it, prevent injury, hopefully, and then, hit those PRs that you wanna hit, but it's not just for the elite athlete either, it's for the everyday person, a mom with kids who needs that deep restorative rest at night, and maybe she's not able to get it, and then she wakes up the next morning and fried and stressed, and yeah, if she could just get that deep restorative sleep, then it'd be a game changer.
And so can the kids. I mean, when you think about it, because it's gonna be much harder for a child that's building their nervous system through movement in the early stages of life to even just sit still in school and understand
Yeah.
and be able to tame down all of these emotions. Children are their nervous system is just starting to explore the world.
Mhm.
And they do so with primitive reflexes, which are these movement patterns that are embedded in our brainstem that we all have that are there to help us activate our brain and control our body, but they go hand in hand with emotions. So when we see someone that has pain, whether it be lower back pain or flat feet or rounded shoulders or duck footed or whatnot, most likely the real source begins at the beginning of life with those primitive reflexes in the first 12 months of
Interesting.
of of life. And we can pretty much pin it down, but now we're to the exact month and to the exact reflex as to where the
Right.
problem started. Yeah, where the problem begun. But what becomes a challenge is to start uncoiling the adaptation, those muscular and fascial adaptation for years, because we
Mm,
build our foundation based on those movements.
okay.
So if a movement is already impaired at the beginning of life, and then the child has built those postural patterns on top of a system that's not well mature, then we're going to have to uncoil or undo all of those habits to start reprogramming,
Reprogramming.
rewiring the brain.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But this is where the tools become super helpful because they're just accelerators.
Yes.
They're accelerators of the process. Because some will say to me, "Well, why can't I just train?" And I do Pilates, I do yoga. All of those activities
Mhm,
are amazing and
mhm.
they do help. But with the products, they just speed up the process even
Right.
faster.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they're able to continue on where, Pilates, yoga, anything that they wanna do, but then hopefully preventing that injury or just, yeah, like you said, accelerating to rewire the brain.
Yes,
Okay. Oh my goodness.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. Then what about the hormone balance part? Does it affect hormones as well or having a bad posture or no?
Well, yeah, so it goes back to cortisol. I mean,
Mm,
cortisol destroys everything in the body. That's the problem. So, the same way we want to
mm,
be really sensitive to insulin and sugar, and we don't want to be resistant to insulin because we understand that it can lead to a lot of issues in the future with our lives. This is kind of the same thing. You want to manage your cortisol as much as you can,
right.
but cortisol also goes hand in hand with your ability to calm yourself. So a lot of people talk about the vagus nerve, but the
Mhm.
vagus nerve actually develops through movement. So, and the first thing that triggers the development, the myelination, the maturity of the vagus nerve is the tongue. So the
Okay.
first movement that we go through really at the beginning of life, this is always it's about going back to basics.
Yeah.
First movement is tongue movement because the baby just feeds through the tongue, and that activation of that specific muscle, which is only active at birth
Right.
originally, will activate the parts of the brain, including nuclei in the brain, that are going to connect with your vagus nerve, which is your ability to calm down,
Mhm.
which is your ability to be able to rest and digest your food through social interaction, through sensation, through skin, through rocking, through inner
Right.
ear movement. So all of those things happen naturally. We don't really think about them and say, "Oh, I'm activating the vagus nerve now," but it's all connected. It's all
Sure.
connected to movement.
That's powerful. Okay. That makes sense. Then somebody's kind of asking a little bit more about with kids, does it impact ADHD and focus in kids? And we talked about like kids sitting down and desks and stuff like you were talking about.
Yeah, 100%,
Mm.
100%. It goes back down to the ability to, and I do go into this a little bit in my TED Talk for those that are listening. If you haven't
Yeah.
watched a TED Talk, please do watch it because there are visuals that explains how there could be an impact with ADHD. So any learning disability with children or even with adults are usually linked to eye movements. So eye
Right.
movements, vision affects 100% of your brain.
Mm.
So in order for me to understand what I'm reading, and I would have the image, the letter has to hit my visual cortex, and then I need to make sense of the words that I'm reading to understand what I'm reading. But if my eyes
Right.
are arriving too early or too fast at the end of the line, then I'm going to have a harder time to understand,
Mm-hmm.
to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that none of these, I mean, it's so simple. Looking at someone's foot posture and their eye movements can give you a great insight into their nervous system, and we can match that insight to whatever issues it is that you are experiencing, whether it be lower back pain, whether it be children, whether it be just learning or cognition,
Mm.
digestion or stress. It
Yeah.
all goes back to the brain.
Okay.
It all goes to the brain, and the solution is always the same. You have to address the cause, and the
Right.
cause is the feet and the eyes,
Mm.
almost always, because, I
Yeah.
mean, that there is not one case that I have ever seen, regardless of what the problem is, that did not involve foot alignment and eye movements.
Wow. I believe it. Yeah. And yeah, you've seen like thousands and thousands and
I've
thousands.
never I've never seen it. I've never seen it, and it's even more pronounced in diseases of the nervous system like Parkinson's disease, like
Really
Alzheimer's disease. These are conditions that affects your brain, and you
true.
see it in the eyes. They have a super hard time following their finger, moving their eyes and converging. How can they walk? How can they walk properly without feeling that they're going to fall over? So
Mm.
we base, and again, these are things that we don't think of, but our entire sense of movement and sense of self is based on how we feel our body within the environment, and there are
Right.
specific parts of our body that tell our brain how to move and how to stand. So, the best way to know is to just to look at the way that someone is standing or
Okay.
walking,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Especially like you were saying with the elderly too, and they're like hunched over, maybe shuffling.
Yes, and also, we'll notice people that will only swing one arm, for example,
Yeah, I've
arm is
seen that.
at all, or you'll notice someone who has duck feet, but one is
Yeah.
really more than the other, and they're kind of
They're like
like walking like this.
right.
All of these are indications of the nervous system, and they go back to the eyes, which affects the foot, and then the foot affects the kinetic chain from the bottom up, and then the
Yeah.
eyes from the top down.
Okay. Wow.
S-
So
So
man.
I was just gonna say, but when you think about the solution, it's so simple. It's so simple, and anyone at home can test it.
Yeah.
If you have a restriction or a pain right now, the
Mhm.
only thing that you have to do is give a number to that restriction or that pain,
Okay.
from 1 to 10.
Okay.
And then, I have tons of exercises, free exercises online. Try doing some eye exercises. Now, you can use eye exercises to target specific parts of the brain. That's where the online consultation becomes, or the courses becomes interesting.
Right.
Just doing basic circles, convergence exercises, and then post exercises, reassessing that movement and see if there is a difference.
In the
And
pain
more
level.
in pain level and in movement.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you can use cervical rotation, you can use hip
Okay.
flexion, you can use really virtually anything that you fancy to test it, just as long as you do the exercises calmly and properly for 30 seconds
Yeah.
and then retest.
Okay.
If there's an improvement, then that's a confirmation to you that your eyes in that example were causing or were restricting movement or range of motion.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
So this would be a great way to test and see, and you could do the same with the feet, and you could do the same with the jaw and
Okay.
whatnot, and then kind of work your way down and see what's causing
That's
what.
good. And you have all of these on your website that people could look up to kind of test out?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of free content that allows you to test out and do different testing for yourselves to see what could be needed, but and courses for anybody who wants to learn this and help their clients, because
Right.
the best way for me to be able to help people was to get through to practitioners to get them to start working with this method, because
Right.
through them we can help so many, or at least
Mm.
let them know that this method exists.
Exactly. And then with your products that you have that what we talked about that it helps to accelerate the recovery or realignment.
Yeah, so the main difference with our insoles versus the other ones is that they actually stimulate the receptors in the skin of the foot.
Okay.
And they have and this is immediate. It's as quick as just, I would say, how long does it take to feel this? And you'll be like,
Mm.
immediately. It's as quick as that. You're not going to feel anything, but your nervous system and your cerebellum will feel it. And
Okay.
what it's going to do in that moment is, because we're using a frequency to be able to shift your body weight either front or back or left or right. And it's really your brain that decides where to position you, because we are not here to challenge the nervous system. We're here to optimize it.
Okay.
So if there is no more restriction, then the brain releases the muscles. And we combine that with eye exercises to correct the eyes from the top down, and usually we see corrections, if the eye exercises are done properly, the unblocking of the eyes really happens in the online consultation.
Mm.
You triple the effect of the therapeutic effect with the insoles, and you're able to then address posture from the top down, from the bottom up, and then walk with a posture that is better aligned for ideally 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then you really changed posture at the core,
That's incredible. Wow.
and it
So
sticks.
then well,
It'll stick with
and it
time.
sticks too. Okay. And then if you do get some, things coming back, you can just kind of revert back to some of those exercises if needed. But
If needed, absolutely. But again, the younger, the faster, and the better. And the sooner we do this with children,
mm,
the more chances we have to impact their lives as they grow up, and certainly eliminate the risk of any postural compensations that
yeah.
to back pain.
Right. Okay. No, that's really good. Someone else just asked, can posture really slow down aging or is that just hype?
Can posture slow down aging? I'm gonna have to say yeah, because it's about mitochondrial fatigue, right? When we wake up in the morning and we're refreshed, well, we're able to use that energy that we have just allocated to our day to day to just live and go throughout our day without wasting too much energy, or just the right amount of energy.
Yeah.
If you're able to reduce cortisol, then you're going to be able to sleep better, and if you're able to sleep better, then you're going to be able to live longer.
Mm,
That's the way I see it, and of course, you'll be able to um, have an effect on mitochondria and just pure energy, because you're reducing cortisol at the same time.
right.
You'll also have the ability to be in more of a parasympathetic state throughout the day versus being constantly stressed, although
Hmm.
stress is healthy, but
Right.
chronic stress is not.
Yeah.
So you're really hitting all of the big players that can accelerate aging,
Hmm.
mitochondria, sleep, and the ability to just breathe and calm yourself, you're really hitting the 3 milestones in order to be able to give yourself every chance to, delay aging as long
Yeah.
as possible or increase longevity. Of course, food
Food
plays
too.
a role, and lifestyle will help you accelerate that process even more.
Mhm.
And I would say trying to keep your teeth healthy as well. I mean, the teeth is huge. It's a huge, it's extremely important to keep all of your teeth as much as you can. If you've had your wisdom
Yeah.
teeth removed, it's okay. It's not going to deteriorate everything, but ideally for those that are starting to try to maintain a healthy occlusion and tongue posture is
Mhm.
also super important.
Yeah, it's specifically,
Because the
the
jaw
gum
yeah, or
jaw.
the jaw could be a contributor to stress indirectly.
Yes. I've dealt with
If
that
you
myself.
Yeah, if you have a malocclusion or missing teeth or a lingual dysfunction, then that can, in the background, cause stress in the body without even realizing it. And it
Yeah.
certainly can affect your sleep as well.
Yes, I went through a period of time because of stress that my jaw would completely lock up overnight,
Yeah,
like, just completely get locked up, and now I do wear, like, a mouth guard at night, but then
yeah.
also, like, stress techniques and, breath work and all of those type of things to kinda help manage that stress, and like you said, like, there's stress in our everyday life and, we it's okay, but we just need to learn how to kind of e adapt to it in a way too without having it hold on to it like I was in my jaw.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where, going back to the development of the vagus nerve in the early stages of life gives you the foundation as an adult to be able to
Okay.
tap into that parasympathetic system.
Right.
I'm always gonna go back to the children, and I think it's important for parents to even be aware that there's things that they can do to help their child develop proper tongue posture, because it all begins with tongue posture. It
Mhm.
really does. That you want them to have a nice wide jaw and space for the teeth to come out,
Wow.
um, and that's just going to help with absolutely everything.
That makes sense. Yeah, we've brought on, biological dentists before too and talking about, like, what you're just talking about with just, teeth health, gum health specifically that they've linked to dementia and Alzheimer's, with inflamed gums and inflammation and yeah, so I'm always on my kids now, like, flossing your teeth, but they don't always listen to mom.
Yeah, so we really talk about that about we have those tools that we use, but we also explain these things, and we've launched an ebook called the 5 minute posture fix, which allows pretty much anybody to be able to either address the feet, the eyes, or the jaw, or primitive reflexes, kind of like
Right.
a 5 minute routine that you can do depending on whatever issue you're looking to tackle down or address through the 5 minute posture fix. And that, of course, and where we explain absolutely everything in a simple way, and a 5 minute routine that can be done for anyone,
Yeah, I
anywhere.
love that. And kids,
Yeah,
adults,
kids, adults,
elite
elderly,
athletes. Yeah.
pain, athletes, whatnot, the everyday person. I'm not even gonna say athlete, I'm just gonna say the everyday
Okay.
person that's looking to have better posture, do this 5 minute routine, and, it's not gonna cost you much, it's gonna cost you 5 minutes. I put the emphasis on 5 minutes because a lot of the training programs that a lot of the people that I talk to or online consultations will tell me that they go through a rehab of like 30 minutes a day. They have to kind of stretch like this
True.
and do that. And when it costs like, 30 minutes to do this. So in 5 minutes, we give you the tools to be able to tackle on whatever postural issues that you may have.
That's really good. So there's no excuse. You can
No,
fit it in. So they
it's
can
no
find that resource on your website, I'm assuming?
posturepro.co,
Okay.
across the all our social platforms, Posture Pro.
Perfect. Good. We'll make sure to link in the recording too for that later as well. But that's yeah, and you have so many great resources out there, Annette, and I know we have a lot of them inside Life Network that you have, generously shared. But we'll make sure to direct people to your website too, especially for your products to accelerate. But for somebody, actually, we had one last one. If you're okay to answer this one, maybe this is the 5 minute reset. So, what should I do first thing in the morning to wake up my nervous system? Would it be the 5 minute reset or something different?
Yeah, so the 5 minute posture fix will go into details. You wanna wake up your nervous system with using those specific body parts to tell your brain to start secreting dopamine and increasing the baseline dopamine in a healthy way. And of course, eliminating not waking up with postural imbalances and eliminating those imbalances from the moment that you step out of the bed
Mm,
is the most important thing for longevity and health and just a stress-free life.
yes.
So, yeah, the 5-minute posture fix will guide you as well as our products. And
Yeah.
I think that we're offering them a discount through your platform, are we
Yes.
not?
Yes, we do. I have, yeah. So you just
Okay.
have life and they get 15% off with the word life.
So exactly. So you get 15% off if you just use Life 15 on all of our courses site-wide to
Yeah.
help you guys just have better posture and feel better in your body.
That's incredible. Thank you for that generosity. And I have a personal question too. And it's always like you can't pick your favorite child. So if you could only pick one of your tools or even courses, maybe one of each, then you like that you never travel without, what would that be, Annette, for you specifically?
My functional activator.
Okay. How come?
For sleep, I prioritize sleep.
Yes.
So therapeutic insoles and the functional activator are the two things I never leave home without. And same for my kids. I practice what I preach. I do it with my loved ones. I do it with my children. I actually with my kids when they were 3 years old would sneak into their room and would just put the functional activator in their mouth while
Ew.
they were sleeping, and you could see that they would just like clench right in and
Yeah.
start immediately in a deep sleep. So functional activator and therapeutic insoles. And of course, if I travel, I try to do like stick with my eye exercises.
Yes.
Absolutely. Try to keep my brain healthy through eye movements.
Mm,
So these would be the three things that um, are always with me.
I love that. Oh my goodness. We'll make sure to link those too. And yeah, thank you for the generous gift for 15% off and just for joining us today. And any other last words of wisdom you'd like to leave our audience with, Annette?
Well, if you know anybody with pain, we can help. We can help. Let them know that there's a solution out there that's different than conventional practices because it targets the nervous system and it does so pretty quickly. So if you can avoid having to repeat constant rehab and just get the results faster, well, this would be a great way to do it.
Exactly right. Yes, to accelerate that too, like we were talking about. So that's incredible. And everybody has some sort of level of pain in their life. And yeah, so let's see if we can help each other out and spread the word and head over to Annette's posturepro.co, correct? It's the website.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good. Oh my goodness. Well, and also inside Life Network, we have a lot of her tips and tricks in there. So make sure to follow
I do.
along. Yeah, make sure to follow along there. And thanks again, Annette, for joining us live. We appreciate you and all that you do. All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Okay. Thanks everybody for tuning in. See you next time on the Life Lounge.
Next time.
Bye.